Hello and welcome to the state I'm in, where every conversation points north. Here, we discuss the topics that Alaskans and perhaps everyone should care about. I'm your host, Manny Coelho, a fellow Alaskan and your guide to the conversations that Alaskans want to hear from the individuals who are leading the way. My guest today is Tyler Johnson. Tyler grew up in Sterling, Alaska. He was raised in the outdoors and heavily influenced by his dad, a game warden, and spent much of his life hunting, fishing, hiking, and honestly doing what a lot of us just consider normal growing up here on the Kenai Peninsula. He's the kind of Alaskan who knows the trails, respects wildlife, and feels most at home out in the woods and sharing it with others. Until one day, everything changed. So last August, Tyler was out hiking and hunting with his dad when a routine day out in the mountains turned into a violent life or death encounter with a grizzly bear. What followed happened in seconds, but it reshaped everything. How he views the outdoors, personal safety, and a newfound purpose for what he's working towards now. In this conversation, we talk about growing up Alaskan, the realities of wildlife encounters that most people just only read about, what actually happens in a bear attack, and how preparation, training, and calm decision making can be the difference between life and death. This story made worldwide news, but it doesn't just stop there, because Tyler's story isn't just about I survived. It leads somewhere unexpected into an idea, a mission, and a project that could change how people safely experience the wilderness moving forward. This conversation ended up being so big and took such a wild turn at the end that it became a two-part episode. And trust me, the ending of part one sets up something you won't see coming in part two. And now, my conversation with Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson, so good to finally meet you. Heard about your story. We have a lot of stories that you're going to share, I hope, and excited just to kind of hear them firsthand from you. And again, excited to just listen to a fellow Alaskan, someone that grew up here, explored the outdoors, done all the things that we kind of get used to living here, hunting, fishing, hiking, adventuring, seeing the just vast beauty of this place and everything it has to offer. But you've got a pretty special story, and I'm not going to lie. I'm going to kind of let my audience kind of hang on a little bit until we get to that one. But you had a pretty crazy experience with a bear out in the woods, and things got kind of crazy, and it's kind of a big deal. And it was a pivotal moment for you and kind of the stuff that you are working on now after that experience. And so I'm really looking forward to diving into that. But first, I just want to say welcome and thanks for being here, man.
What's up?
It's good, really good that we can make this happen. Even if virtually, I know that you're in Austin now, but you were born and raised here. Everyone's experience in Alaska kind of starts off a little bit differently, whether you grew up here or not. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of tell me a little bit more about you, where you grew up, and the stuff that you were into as an Alaska boy.
Oh boy. Well, I grew up in Sterling, Alaska. Some call it Naptown, is what it used to be called.
And Naptown. Shout out
Naptown.
Naptown Brewery.
Shout out Naptown. Yeah. I grew up on Scout Lake, and my father is a game warden. My mother was a nurse. 2 sisters, couple of dogs and horses. It's just
Sweet.
Growing up with a game warden, man, it's I didn't realize how different it was until, like you just said, you're used to growing up and going camping and fishing. That's just something we do. And now moving to Austin, everyone's like, that's not normal. I'm like, man, You should make it normal. Yeah, went to Seoul High School, played football there and hockey. It's just try to stay as active as I can. Coached hockey to the Kenai River Queens. Shout out Kenai River Queens.
Yeah,
that's right.
Rowdy bunch. Okay, they're not all rowdy. I'm not a hockey player, but I have played softball, and they are a riot playing softball too in the summertime. They are a fun team to play against. Always a good time with the Kenai River Queens. Yeah.
I just didn't know what I was getting into. I think her name was Rachel Hankey. She's like, yeah, we're looking for some coaches to my buddy Mikey Griffin and I. And we were just doing beer league. And we looked at each other. We were like, you know what? that might be some fun. And we had no clue what we were getting into. And it was like, we got there, 30 women, and we just started telling them what to do. And they looked at us like, you don't tell us what to do. I was like, they fight back. Oh no.
Uh, you're merely a figurehead, sir.
Yeah. You just tell us, yeah, it was a heck of an experience. I think I did that for 5 years, and boy, that was fun. Cold, cold nights practicing out on the Kenai rink, but it was so worth it.
Growing up with a game warden as a dad, like, did you? I mean, talk about that experience. Like, were you like quick to invite your buddies out, like out hunting and fishing, or was like, oh, don't go with Tyler because his dad's a game
Oh,
warden? Like, did you experience that at all?
oh boy, yeah. So my friends do know when I go out fishing with them. There's been a couple of times where they drag them in, and I like throw the fish back. They're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Brother, come on, man. Like, what do you expect? You hooked it in the belly. Like, I'm not gonna like. I can't do that. It's not in me to do so, right?" And also on the flip side, when you go hunting with a game warden, well, you're like, "Can I?"
Yeah,
Hmm?
right,
So you said yes.
yeah,
So
right.
felt pretty safe with that. And also probably the best um, hiking, hunting, just adventure buddy you can ask for. Because obviously they're doing a job that you're out in the woods constantly. They love their job. My dad loves his job. The guy is he's still going. He's like the Terminator. 61 years old, dude. And old man. Anyways, he's gonna like that. And I shared that with him. And just growing up, we used to just go out to the cabins, to Ocean Bay cabin, Cards cabin when I was still there. Spent New Year's out on Tustamina cabins. Out, it's just hitting snow machines, going out there as a little kid, burning your mouth on hot cocoa. It's just it's just the stars out there too. Oh my gosh, yeah.
What are the earliest memories that you have? Like, was he doing this like when you were real young?
Oh yeah, yeah. That now
Yeah.
my my whole family's in Minnesota, but before I was born, they all not they all, my mom and father moved up to Alaska because they offered him a job as a game warden here, and he stayed at the cabin on Ski Lac. There's like a little game warden cabin out there. That's where our first house was, out
Dang,
there on Ski Lac. And yeah, since I've been born, I just got born into a game warden as a father, and just God, how lucky was I? It's great.
that's awesome. I feel like it can go one of two ways. Like you either that is your lifestyle, and I think about it all the time. Like is my son gonna love the things that I love, or is he totally gonna go the other direction and be like, I hate it? So your dad
Hmm.
must have done a good job of like being like, this is what my life's all about, and introducing it to you to where you actually like it too.
There might have been, he just dragged me along until I liked it, because he's like, I'm going to do it anyways, so you're going to come with me. And then it just ended up being like, you know what, after a while, I was like, this is kind of fun. But, when you're a small kid, like 3, 4 years old, just ripping across ski lac on a snow machine, it gets pretty cold, but, bundle up like a Michelin man. And yeah, there's so many just these little memories of, uh, going on a snow machine and seeing open water, being absolutely freaked out, but he's just like kept on going. It was a good time. So,
You mentioned offline that you had done some stuff out in ADAC. Uh, yeah, I mean, ADAC is a place where I dream of going. I've heard so many cool stories about that place. It's so remote, right at the end of the Aleutian chain, and it seems like every story is tied to going out there and then getting stuck there and not being able to get back just because of weather. But um, we can talk about that. Why don't you talk about like some, you know, the type of hunting that you're into, outdoor, like what was your go-to stuff, or go-to activities, I guess? Were you more of a hunter or a fisherman, hiking? Did you do it all? Like, where did you kind of gravitate towards when it comes to the outdoors?
all of it. It was for hunting. There was a season, so when the spring hit, I mean, before the snow would melt, I'd be up on Skyline, post holing all the way up there with my friends. So I just gravitated towards hiking because that's just what I love to do. I just I love being up on the mountains, getting away, just feeling the breeze, the smell, the crisp air. It's just intoxicating and addicting, and the hard work 'cause I like to work out, and climbing mountains can kick your butt
Yeah,
sometimes, and I
totally.
loved it. I loved every second of it. You got Slaughter Ridge, Cecil, and I ended up just bringing I dragged my friends up just like my dad did. He drugged me out, but I dragged my friends with me, like, "Come on, come out hiking with me. Join me."
Yeah.
And then later on towards the year, I would go hunting, in August. Obviously, you got sockeye fishing. I caught 60 pounds this year, rod and reel. Couldn't get me out of the
Gee,
river. Yeah.
sweet. It was an amazing year. It was an epic year.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, it was
Epic year.
crazy.
It's one of the years where I have friends from Fairbanks. I was in Fairbanks before I moved down here, and it is the number one thing that I like to gloat and boast about living on the peninsula once the summertime comes, because they will make a huge long trek down to the peninsula,
Hmm.
to fish for maybe a weekend, and I'm like, I just go after work sometimes, I guess. Like,
Eh,
if it's
I
the wrong,
fished till 1 o'clock.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
sometimes they're like, "How are you not out there right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I got other stuff to do, And also, there's the people aspect. It is super busy. So I can relate with the aspect of trying to get away. Going and hiking.
Hmm.
I'm sure you come across people on the trail, but it is a nice solitude type activity, and just kind of
Yeah.
gets you in touch with where we live, which is, I mean, they call the Kenai Peninsula like Alaska's playground, and that's for a good reason. It definitely feels like that.
Yeah. So true. And actually, some might call me accident prone. I don't know. But last year, before my whole encounter with the bear, I think about 4 weeks before that, I was out fishing with my buddy Philip, and right there, Swiftwater area, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning right when I got dusk because you try to catch a limit and then fish some more if it's hot, right? Try to get that limit the next day legally, and I hit a monster. Of course, it was a monster. I didn't see it, but it was a monster,
Every fishing story is
and
a monster for sure.
it was a monster. And I think it was like a 3/4 ounce or ounce weight on there, and that fish like pulled me forward, and so I like instinctually jerked back for a second, and that 1 second that I pulled forward and my rod tip went down, then back up. You don't pull it back towards your face. That hook came out of that fish. That weight went right by my face, and I heard a thud into the bank behind me, and then a slap of like something wet on my face right here on my lip. And I was like, "Oh, that was weird." And at split second, that weight fell into the river and then took current, and my lip went. "Blah!" I had a Gamakatsu, it's like size 5 or 6, go straight through my lip,
Oh
and I
my
just went
gosh.
curled up to where the tip wasn't out through yet. So the barb was in my lip, so I was legally caught,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, Philip came over and tried shining the light on my face because, like, hey, I need some light. And I tried pushing that hook through, like, ugh, and that tip would almost make it, but your lips are so malleable,
Yeah.
so it just wouldn't go through. And I ended up going to the ER, so they had to hold my lip down, having another dude pop it through, then get a pair of Kleins, those big,
Uh,
like linemen. Yeah,
yep.
I was a lineman for a while, and you have those big Kleins, and just went, popped it off, and pulled it through. It's pretty gnarly looking, and it's just like straight through my lip. I was like, ugh. Yeah, I posted that one on the Kenai fishing page, and boy, the things that people say on there is just hilarious. Like, "Oh, you went to the hospital. You must be some wuss." I'm like, "You got me. I'm just such a wuss."
People are savages.
Oh,
I will tell you this
yeah.
though, you are not alone. Having worked in the ER, having, work in the urgent care, that is our bread and butter in the summertime, man. Hooks in the face. It's not a pleasant experience. That sounds like a brutal one though, right on the top lip like that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially too if they had to take it out with pliers, that kind of says it was probably more involved than the normal ones. A lot of these ones that we do, they'll use the old uh like fishing, they'll
Yeah, the
wrap
floss,
uh
yeah.
umbilical cord, or not umbilical cord. They call it umbilical tape, which is basically like just little thin. Looks like a shoelace. They'll just wrap it around and like
Uh-huh.
pop it out. And people are like, "Oh, if I knew it was that easy, I would have done it at home."
Tried.
Yeah,
I definitely
it's not.
tried.
A little side note story. I won't give away any identities here, but we had a old timer. I don't even know if they're local or they're from lower 48, but old timer with his two adult sons, and he hooked them in the same 12-hour shift. He hooked one kid in the morning and then the other kid at night. He was the one fishing, and he, you know, kind of similar story. Got his pole, whipped his pole out of the water and hooked into his both of his adult sons, and they had to come in and get hooks taken out of their face. I was like, "Don't go fishing with your dad anymore." Like that's the moral of the story here.
Stay away from him.
Yeah. So, besides this encounter we're going to talk about, what was your attitude towards wildlife when you're, you know, kicking around in the woods and the outdoors? I'll tell you, for me, I probably don't have a healthy respect for wildlife because you know what's out there, and you know, like, if there's a moose in my yard, is it going to keep me from going and walking across the yard to like go get, I got a couple chickens. Am I going to go get eggs in the morning just because like there's a moose in my yard? I'm probably still going to go out there
Mhm.
and like just see what it does. Like, does
Stare
it pay
at it.
attention to me? Like, yeah,
Hmm.
does it look like it's ticked off? And then, but I mean, people get their butts kicked by moose all the time too up here. And so, I haven't had any encounters with bears. Definitely think about it a lot going out in the woods, but a lot of times, especially in the summertime, they're kind of preoccupied with salmon and like, they're there, but not really concerned with people so much, unless you're being like a total a hole and like getting up in its business or whatever. But before this encounter that we're going to talk about, like, what was your experience with wildlife out in the woods? Like,
I've always had a healthy respect. Like I said, I grew up with a game warden, so um always I've been taught bear safety since I was a little boy, right? And um I used to go hunting. I used to go across Tustamina, which it's the whole stories of going across Tustamina hunting with my grandpa and my dad, and we ran into a grizzly bear, like walked up on us, and he or she stood up. I was like, "Oh my god, that's huge!" Um, and I mean, anyone that went hiking with me, I would carry 870 shotgun. And I would teach people like, "Hey, this is how you use it. Like, just in case I get, attacked and I can't use it." It was always in the front of my mind, like, because they move fast. I did bear guard, right? Just everything that I did, I knew when I was out in the woods that it was always a possibility, and there's almost no way that you can guess that's going to happen that time. Like you're in their area, right? And we're trying to share this coexistence, enjoying the outdoors, be respectful, make your noise. But it was always in the back of my head, like, try to, if you do see him, give him space. I don't want to mess with that. I said, please like, I'll watch you from a distance. You watch me from a distance. I don't mean to bug you. And even moose, that one is a little bit more fuzzy because I grew up with horses, and they would get in the hay. You
gotcha.
run at them with pans. Sometimes it didn't work out that well, and their ears will go back, and you're like, "Oh, that was a dumb idea." Right?
Abort, abort.
Abort mission. My wife looking at me in my underwear and big boots, running with a bunny hat away from a moose. Like, that was dumb. So, yeah, when it came to bears, I was always taught to respect them, and I mean, have a healthy fear for them, like a healthy one. Not It's not going to stop you from going out into the
Mhm.
woods. It shouldn't stop you from going out in the woods, but do know that's a real danger. It really is. I mean, imagine. I don't know if the guy named Brian Shaw. The guy's like 6'8", 400 pounds, right? Imagine that guy, 100 more pounds or 300 more pounds with claws and teeth. Like
Yeah,
you don't
scary.
want that running at you,
No.
right?
Yeah, that's nuts. Let's get into it. I want you to kind of paint the picture of this day, what your plans were, what you were looking to do, where you were at, and just kind of the lead up into this encounter that you had with this bear. What year are we looking at?
Last year. This
This was
was this
last
was
year.
this was just over. This is last August, August 17th. Yeah.
Dang, man, that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But
I didn't realize it was so soon. For some reason, I was thinking it was like 2 years ago, but I could be getting my stories in my head mixed up. But so walk me through it. What were you looking to do? Where were you at? And what happened?
well, first of all, I moved to Austin, right? This is where it all kind of started. Was I was moving to Austin. I drove my family, my wife, my kid, my 2 dogs, sold our house, gave my notice at ACS. They offered me a remote job, which is awesome. And I drove them down to Texas 9 days, and I told them, I was like, I am going back up to Alaska and hunting with my father. That is a non-negotiable. I just, it, I never wanted to leave Alaska. I mean, until I knew that it's time, because I've always been an adventurer, and it was a point in my life where I had to shift. I felt there was a shift in my life, and I needed to do something. And Austin was where my wife's podcast company is. And I was like, you know what? That's a good place. I have never been there. Let's go there. So I made that shift in life and moved my whole family down there. Flew up to Alaska because I never want to miss a year with my father. Anyone. I came up this last year and went not hunting, but I went hiking, and we decided to change it up a little bit. Typically, we would go across Tustamina, all the way across Tustamina, past Devil's Bay at the very end to Truly, or not Truly, Clear Creek. It's called Clear Creek, and that's where the salmon would go to spawn. It's absolutely gorgeous. Tuscamina's sketchy, but gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right? Just glacier winds coming off it. Sketchy,
Yeah.
but gorgeous. And that's a place where it's always going to hold just a really just beautiful part in my heart, always. But we wanted to change it up, so we went to they call Resurrection Pass, and I've always wanted to do it. It's a long trail. I actually did a college paper on it, and I mapped it all out. It's going to take us so many days. And I don't think my dad has actually done the whole trail. He might have been down there doing like some search and rescues at some point.
Mhm.
And we decided we were going to go take Devil's Pass. I had to use some crazy names. Resurrection Pass, Devil's
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
Where do they get these names from?
I know.
Shit happens there. That's why.
Totally.
And
Some
so
people
we
have been
go.
traumatized before you.
We head out. I think it was like a Thursday, and my dad and I, when we start walking, or hiking, we're like, we might take our time. No, we just booked it. We went 16 or 15 and a half miles one day with all our hiking gear, just went out. And honestly, it's a beautiful trail. It's super easy to walk. It's for biking.
Okay.
So, 16 miles, 15 miles, it's something, but it's not crazy. It's not like you're hiking up bushwhacking. And we decided to camp near Abernathy Creek, American Creek. You can look it up on the map. There's an area there. It's where all these rivers kind of converge in this area, and it's just kind of cool because there's no trees. All of a sudden, you see where this life used to be, and all these trees are at. So it's kind of like a convergence of a whole bunch of creeks. And we were going out there hunting for black bear. And that's kind of been my go-to thing to go hunting for is black bear. I love putting in the pressure cooker, putting some of those Alaskan blueberries in there with some jalapenos and onions and pulling them out like for, making some roast or a nice burrito out of them. It's so good if you cook it all the way through. And, I got a few black bears, and this time we were going out there, and no, we didn't. I got a ptarmigan out there with my 22 because I decided to bring a 22 for the first time. Usually I get him with like slingshots or just throwing a rock
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
like 100 throws.
Pretty
And
easy.
Yeah, if you can throw, I sure as hell can't. Eh. Dang it.
Yeah.
Um, but so that whole first day we went out hiking, we made up our camp, and we didn't see anything. We saw some wolf tracks. And my dad told me that, if you see some wolf out there, you can shoot him. Uh, I don't think even if I did see one, I wouldn't have. It's not my thing. Um, I'm more of like if I'm gonna, get an animal, I'm gonna eat it. Um, Plus, I like dogs a lot too. There's like a little thing there for me.
Sure.
It's just not my thing. And so I was really looking for black bear. That first day went by, and we set up camp. We woke up the next day, and it's actually been beautiful days out there, like 65 degrees, sunny.
Nice.
And that second day, I decided to go. I was like, I'm going to climb that mountain because I wanted to climb up there and, say goodbye to my grandmother. She passed away like 2 weeks before that.
Mm,
So I was like, also, you get advantage of the whole area, right? So you're like, I'm going to climb
yeah.
this big mountain, say goodbye to my grandmother, give peace, and scout around and see if I see any animals. And well, there was no animals up there except for me and my dad. And saw a few people on bikes. It's kind of cool. You're just looking up there. It's like, yeah, see you. You don't know I'm up here. Anyways, kind of creepy. Have you ever done Resurrection Pass or hear that at
No,
all?
no, I haven't.
No.
I know a lot of people do bike it. I know there are some people that like will run the whole thing. There's some like ultra runners out there that
Yeah.
are like psychotic and they'll run the whole thing. But no, I haven't been out there at all.
Yeah. It's a great hike, man. And there's some cabins out there that are just like all glass around. You know. So
What?
you,
Like glass
yeah.
walls?
Oh yeah, glass walls. Yeah. So, you can walk. Yeah, we went to go look at one. We didn't know if anyone was in it. I was like, hopefully they're not like just walking around naked in there. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I've been in a lot of public use cabins. It's really surprising to know that there are like some glass walled ones out there because most of the public use cabins I've stayed in are kind of sketch and have been around for a while. But that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it has a beautiful view. I mean, makes sense why they would put a glass
Yeah.
wall out there. But you have to sign up for it. I digress though. So, that second day passed, and my dad and I, we looked at the map, and we kind of realized that there was a trail around here. So we had a small map, and we got kind of curious, and we I kind of want to like try to get out like gold panning out there because
Oh,
I
cool.
don't know if you can, but supposedly there's some gold out there. The water's cold as hell, so I tried for about 5 minutes. I was like, nope, not worth it. And we actually weren't going to go out that day. I mean, it was just so nice, and we were so beat up from hiking and stuff that we're just like, maybe have a camp day. Sip. I have a little glass or a metal mug. I put my Insta coffee in there with a shot of whiskey, and I just kind of hang out there, and it's just so awesome. You're in the woods. I just love it. And well, that day, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go check out this area. We see this trail that leads around. It's called American Creek, and we heard if you hike pretty far back there, there might be a cabin back there, like way back there. And I think from local knowledge from my father, there's a trail there that the troopers use with snow machines. So they put flagging, right? And there was old guys that were guides back there for moose back in the day. So there's a trail back there, but it's not like, they keep it up like they do Resurrection.
Yeah. Kind of off the
And
beaten path, like exists
yeah,
not really well, like not maintained or anything like that.
the only maintenance crew out there is probably bears and moose because they're
Yeah.
going to use the same
Game
path
trail.
of
Yeah.
least resistance, right? They're going to use the same thing. Um, and we started on this trail, and it started out okay, and we started following these pink flags, and they're up higher, and you can see that they're weathered. They're really old. And the further we get along on this trail of hiking, we realize that it is a bitch to walk through. And we're sitting there, we lose the trail, backtrack through some
Mhm.
boggy stuff, go through some alders, which are just so much fun to navigate through.
Yeah, terrible.
Um, and and we lose the trail a few times, and by this time, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun's high up in the air. There's, like, absolutely no wind, so the bugs are kinda around you, and we see that it kinda you're going through this valley, side hilling, and then it opens up to this bigger valley surrounded by mountain. And if you keep on going forward, you can make it around this other mountain around there. It's like, what's around the corner there? Like, is it going to be Eden? Like, is there going to be a
Yeah,
beautiful view?
yeah,
Right. And I think at that point, my father and I, we kind of didn't say it out loud, but we both were like, I don't want to shoot a bear and walk it back through this. So
yeah, yeah.
at this
And
time, yeah, what was that?
I was gonna say a lot of people think that after you've been like, beating brush for so long, you're like, is it even worth it at this point if we
Yeah.
do get something to take it back to
Yeah.
camp? Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta think of that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. And then you're like, oh, I gotta hike it out of here. Can't leave that behind, especially with a game warden. You're bringing everything, buddy.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, I had a bear go down a mountain. I had to go get it. That sucked. But this time we were like, what's around that corner? So my father and I, we were both like, let's go on an adventure. So we start going, and we still haven't had lunch at this time. And even though it looks like it's flat grass, like you might even tee off with a golf club, like, nah, you got like these brush and it's actually up to your knees and it's tripping you up. And there's some creeks and there's bogs, and we're still losing the trail. But there's like a dead tree out in the middle, almost like the Lion King where Simba's underneath it. It's like, where am I? Right? It's like there's a marker out there, so we beeline it there, and sure as shit, there's a flag that is just almost gone. Um, and after that tree, I remember taking pictures. I even remember saying, I'm like my dad. I take pictures all the time. That's why the video of what's happening mm, is online. And
And for listeners to go look up that video.
do it. It's crazy, actually. You'll know why here in a second. And I remember being like, yeah, I'm like my dad's paparazzi. So there's like some pictures of my dad just looking out the distance, all stoic, right? But he's really looking. It's like, there's some alders in front of us, and there's a creek, and we got to find a way to get through it. And so he starts paralleling this creek, and it's like, where is that damn flag? Like, it's almost like obsessive, like, because I don't want to go through it's like thick, like Maleficent when she pulls up all those vines, like, you can't make it through. It's a lot like
Yeah.
that. you
Okay.
know and then I hear my dad said, oh, found the flag. And yeah, he found the flag, and you can see these old cuts, like with little hand saws. So the ends of these bushes and twigs and alders are black and brown, just long cut long ago, but it didn't overgrow because I guess there's not a lot of nutrition for that to grow right there, except for
Mhm.
the creek. And it's kind of like a orchard like little trail going through there for a small bit. So you go through there. So my dad goes through, follow him about 10 yards at this time behind him. He pops on the other side, and he starts going up this little hill. It's not a huge hill, right? And he gets to the top, and I get out of those bushes, and I take about 5 steps. And I remember thinking, I was like, I looked at the timestamp on my phone the other day, and I thought it was 2 o'clock, but the timestamp, since it was said it was 3 o'clock, and we haven't had any lunch. I'm thinking about top ramen, right? And if if you're out hunting, you know how hard that top ramen hits. It is amazing. A little Cholula sauce, I'm thinking like cut up a summer sausage. I got my like little pilot bread. I'm thinking about my backpack. I mean, I'm thinking actually this is a perfect spot to sit. And my dad gets to the top of that hill. He starts going over it a little bit. So he's just getting out of range. And I'm coming up this hill. And at that moment, in this little arena like area with taller golden grass, there is a Well, first my dad, he says bear. He screams it. He says, "Bear!" You know, and immediately I'm now sent out of my trance of delicious top ramen, warm top ramen, right? Like, what'd he just say?
Yeah.
And you know how meditative the hiking state is, right? No matter how experienced you are in hunting, hiking, I always tell people like every 10 paces, yell, talk. And my dad and I were kind of chatting, but we weren't bear aware at that time
Yeah.
because we were stuck in the moment, right? We're meditative. And my dad screams bear because he must have looked over and just heard a crunch. But after he said bear, there was this like g- guttural, like it was the most frightening sound I've ever heard, and it was an instant sound of attack. That's all it was. It was an instant decision, and it just happened just like that.
Reacted.
And I'm still processing what's going on. I hear these bushes just snap, just like I said, you had a hard time getting, we would have the hardest time. Nothing. It was like nothing. She must have just been like in the middle of it and just hanging out there by the creek, 15 yards away from us. We just walked up on her and she charges my father. And you can hear the like, and then you just see this golden hump like kind of cresting this grass, and I'm still processing what's going on. You
Yeah.
know, you have you ever had that moment where like your buddy just jumps out and goes rah, and you're like you get that like
Yeah.
like the
Yep. That
shivers,
reactive, like, yeah.
or you turn around and try to punch him, you know, like that's what you have. You have just like them. You have a reaction, right? You have fight, flight, and in these situations, you have freeze, right? And I I froze for just a second. Like, what is that? I knew what it was, but I didn't want to know what it was,
Yeah. You're
right?
like still processing
Like,
what exactly happening. Yeah.
and have you ever like when you're out hiking, you always think about like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do when that moment happens?
Totally. You play the scenario game. Yeah, for sure.
Feel like every man that goes out there with a stick, like I can take a bear. No, you can't. Trust me, you can't. Some guy in Austin here was like, I can take a black bear. I was like, buddy, I would
Yeah.
love to watch that.
Yeah.
Just for saying that. But anyways, so that processing is happening. That bear is just moving. It's hard to explain how fast these animals move towards my father, and he starts turning his back because it's already he in his mind, and he's been around bears his whole life. Or not his whole life, but I mean, as a game warden, his whole life as
Totally.
a game warden. Like so many stories of bears and his encounters, and he knows he has to turn his back and get down on his stomach because that's what you do, right? If they are going to bowl you over, you have no chance in hell to react to anything. You get on your stomach, you have your backpack on your back, right? And you lay down, and hopefully that backpack protects the back of your head, the back of your neck. And he also has a Glock 40 on his chest. So he starts turning, and he's yelling, "Hey, hey, 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 hey!" That bear, and that's when I get that look. I see her, and I realize that's a grizzly bear, brown bear, whatever you want to call it, from wherever she's at. I don't know what the miles away from the coast is. Anyways, so that's when I see that bear, and I have a 10 millimeter on my hip. My father gave me a holster that is a police holster, right? It has a strap going over the back of it, and you have to press it down, push it forward. And that was just an extra step I did not put into my calculations. I reacted to her running at me, and because she pivoted. right when she got to my father, just like that split second, she pivoted and she went straight at me. She put her head down, and maybe her head was already down. I honestly, it's so hard to remember these things because in these moments, it's like the beginning of a Marvel movie where it's just flipping those pictures, just flip, flip,
Yeah.
flip, 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 flip.
Yeah.
And I have these just images of this bear head down. My hand goes to my gun. I turn kind of my left shoulder towards her, and I take that right foot back, and I try to pull my 10 millimeter out of my holster. And that strap is there. My thumb slipped right off of that.
Mm.
So from the time I heard a crash, from the time that now her snout is in front of me, was probably about 4 seconds.
Jeez.
I had to react. And I just like, man, dude, they are fast.
Yeah.
And
I can
she,
imagine that she
yeah,
in her mind, your dad was in check and you were the
yeah,
only threat left.
yes, yeah.
And so
And I,
she turned in a
yeah,
hurry at you.
yeah, I to her, I was a threat because she saw my dad, checked him, then realized I probably came out of the path that she came in, and now she's trapped. Like I said, this area is like an arena. And she, like, I just remember, like, paws up, and she slaps me down. I have a external frame backpack, and she hit that backpack, and then she goes across my shoulder and just my legs go over my head. And at that time, I ripped my gun out of my holster, and I was falling backwards,
Mm.
like thrown backwards with her coming on top of me. And I just now, like a couple months ago, remembered putting a hole through my leg. And I got it from when I was working out from this, like, uh, rush that I got because I got lightheaded or just got cold real quick, and when I was at the gym, and that was the same feeling. It's just like this cold rush, and that memory just snapped back at me, and I remember I was falling backwards, and I tried, like, I don't know if I was trying to kick her away at the same time as falling backwards, but I put my 10 millimeter right to my left thigh, and I pulled the trigger, and just frantic, boom, put a hole right through my leg.
Mm.
I fell backwards. I was falling backwards. She got me in my right calf. She bit down on it, and I started putting bullets into her chest. And I got a claw mark on my right hip too, as she must have pulled, like, yanked me in, and this just is all happening all at once. And as she's on top of me, I put a bullet in her chest, and my legs let go, and she's on top of me, and she has a collar. She was,
Oh,
I,
like she was tagged already, or like by
she
fishing
was
game or something like that?
she was tagged already by Fish and Game. And
Dang.
I remember, I remember thinking it's like a red. I remember thinking red, orange, yellow color. Uh, and I was like, oh, she's tagged. In my head, I'm thinking this. And also I'm thinking, shoot, I'm just pulling the trigger as fast as I can as she's on top of me. And just like the only way you could have saw that collar was if I was on my back and she was on top of you looking up.
Yeah,
And
dude.
I was just pulling the trigger as fast as I can. Now, my dad wasn't just sitting there, right? He wasn't just watching this happen. Well, he was, but he wasn't not doing anything. At this time, when I'm on my back, pulling the trigger, shooting upwards, my dad rounds the corner around, so he's not shooting straight at me. So
Mhm.
he doesn't shoot through the bear into his own son. The
Smart.
wherewithal of
Yeah,
this man to think of, because of the
totally.
training he's been through, and he just saw his son absolutely get linebacker smashed by a 500-pound grizzly bear down a hill. He comes around and he starts pulling the trigger and shooting broadside, head, neck, as she falls off of me. And now she's down next to me. She is literally, I'm sitting here, and I could pat her on the side of the head. I don't want to, because now my dad's just putting holes in her head, right? Really making sure that she's not going to
Yeah.
keep on attacking me. And the dust settles, and the whole everything. is done within 12 seconds. You got to think it's like 12 seconds. And now I have a grizzly bear sitting next to me, just laying there. And my father, now he immediately, I remember he immediately just went reload. He just reloaded another, right? I looked down and I was like, oh, shit. I was like, I shot myself. I said, Dad, I think I shot myself. And I looked down at my leg, sure shit, right through my army surplus cargo pants. There's a hole, and I just rip it open. There was gunpowder, just black. You'll see in the video. I pulled my camera out right after this, and there was a black residue in a hole. And I didn't, because I still had the pants on. I didn't see no exit wounds. So there's so much adrenaline going through him at this point. And I immediately trauma kits in my backpack. I was a hot shot on Pioneer Peak for 2 years, and I just remember like always carry a trauma kit with you. That was something like going through BUT class.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bring that trauma kit with you. Rather have it, not need it, not have it, right? Always over prepared, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the trauma shears out of there. Cut my pants open. Bullet hole was right there. Pulled out the quick clot. This is newer quick clot, actually. I remember, you know, like I said, I was a hot shot on Pioneer Peak, and we would go through, you know, open it up, look away so that quick clot doesn't blow into your face.
Yeah.
Right? This quick clot it was a bandage, and it had like a brick on it. You wrapped it around your leg, and I don't know what possessed me, but before I left my house, there was a slingshot, a rubber slingshot, and I don't know why. I said, I better bring the slingshot, you know, rubber thing just in case I need a tourniquet. Well, yeah, use it, you know, wrap that around right above that wound, squeezed it down. Then we found out that's when that exit wound was right there, just beep, beep, right through. One of the $1 million wound, man. Just, yep, it went straight through my leg, right through the meat. It missed my arteries, it missed my femur, it missed my kneecap. Just above the knee, right? About, you look at your kneecap, you go about 6 inches up, and that's about where it went through. Then you go to the side of your knee on the outside, and you go about 4 inches, and you just go straight through that meat right there. Missed everything except for now I have a weird indent in my quad.
Yeah,
cool
little meat missing.
Yeah, well, yeah, look at that. That's where I shot myself. Whoops. And that's when I started doing triage on my body, right? I disassociated myself with my body immediately. I'm like, okay, now what happened? And this is just going through the motions, right? My dad starts going through the motions with me. I remember looking at him like, I'm okay. I'm good. I am good. And, well, he's like, your boot's filling up with blood. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not good. That's right. She bit me. Shit. So in my leg, I mean, I remember holding up my leg, and I'm just like dangling. Like, it's not like hanging out, but it's just like, what's that?
This is the other leg?
That's my right leg. Yeah. It's just like, I just feels like not there. And my pants are shredded, and it's just like the green cargo is now like this deep brown, and I have tan hiking boots, and they're just blood. I'm like, shit. And that's actually, I was like, ooh, that's not good. That's not good at all. I remember saying that. I was like, ooh, nope. All right, rip it open. And yeah, I can't see anything because it's just blood. I'm like, okay. So my dad grabs the tourniquet, the one that has a metal bar, an actual tourniquet, not a rubber band, right? And he just he puts that on there, and well, he tightens it up, and he looks at me. He's like, how tight? Is that good? I'm like, yeah, that's good. And he goes, oh, okay. And just gives it that other, like, a little bit, you know, and I went, oh.
Good man.
Ooh, yeah, that's a new sensation.
Good man. So I've been a medic in the Guard for a long time, 10 years. And That's how you put on a tourniquet. Is you freaking crank that sucker down until you're confident there's no circulation going down anymore. That is awesome. Kudos to you having the medical kit, the trauma kit to begin with, and then knowing how to use it like competently. Yeah, good job for you and your dad.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any questions about anything before I proceed, go right ahead. I know I just kind of like spatted that whole thing
No,
at
dude,
you.
I'm tagging along. I'm right there with you. It's wild. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so I pull out my camera as that's when I take the picture of my dad. Right there after we get the tourniquet on, we have gauze and stuff wrapped around my leg. I think we try to clean it off, and I still have so much adrenaline through my body. I have no clue. I have a gash through my hip at this time. It wasn't for a while I realized that till the adrenaline started wearing off.
Yeah.
And I take my camera out and I start videotaping. And to me, videotaping makes me feel calm. That's just my way of, I talk to myself. I love taking videos of just beautiful scenes, just anything, I just always have my camera out videotaping something. I just find so much joy in that. It's calming. So I pull my camera out and I start videotaping and talking to the camera. I said, hey, yeah, we have a grizzly bear here, and the thing's just laying right next to me. And I explain what happened and what's going on. And I remember, and then she busted through and she got on top of me. And I was like, I started unloading like a motherfucker on top of her, but I was underneath her, but I was just fucking going, And as I pan over, I'm like, oh yeah, and I shot myself. There's that.
Yeah.
And later, just a couple seconds, and this is, when you watch the video, this is about 6 minutes after. I mean, like I said, we went straight into triage. Secure the perimeter. My father secured the perimeter. He started yelling, "Hey bear!" Looking for if there's another one. That's happened to him before. He's got charged by one bear, and there's another one right after that. So he was a machine, man. He just, all that training, and I got to witness it. Like I said, best partner to have out there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
someone with that training.
100%.
And so I start videotaping, and I just remember, like, gotta keep my heart rate down. And I said that in the video. It's like, keep your heart rate down. Your blood is flowing right now. Your heart rate's going, well, that means you're going to lose more blood. I don't want to lose more blood, so coos for bra, you know? Kuna Matata, brother. And, so try to keep calm. You're bleeding out your legs, but Kuna Matata.
Yeah. However, doing whatever to keep yourself chilled out.
Yeah. And I just remember, like I said in the video, I'm like, yeah, it's a beautiful day. I even give a description of how the bear was on top of me, like Gimli in Lord of the Rings when the warg dies and it just falls. He's like, ugh, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how it was. And in these videos, you can see how I'm trying to be calm in the situation, and then my father, just the way we worked together was like, it was just already in act. Like we knew exactly what to do. We kept each other calm, right?
Yeah.
That was big. There was moments where, I mean, my dad put it on the tourniquet. He put it on backwards once or twice. I'm like, hey man, we're good. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, he saw how I'm calm. I saw how he's calm. And later, he stood in front of me and kept that sun out of me. And, there's some moments where that adrenaline's wearing off. And he's like, you're good. You're good, man. I was like, yeah, I'm good. Here, have some water. We ran out of water pretty quick, though. That was dumb. And you can see in the videos, my dad has his inReach. And it's so cool. So this is not the first time we use the inReach, unfortunately. But he's trained in this stuff, right? So he goes on search and rescues. He knows the language, how to give information with the just because I think you only can do a certain amount of characters on these inReaches. Text to satellite device for the ones that don't know what that is. Super handy to have. Or you can have the iPhone 17 now, which is pretty dope. That's what I got because of all this. and he's saying, my son attacked by a grizzly bear, bullet hole wound, controlled bleeding, stable, need a med vac. Just over and over and over again. He might have had a couple other things in there that they needed. Oh, coordinates. And he sent it out to. Obviously, he has a connection, so I think he texted someone or messaged someone that he knew that could help. I think it was the troopers he got a hold of, and potentially I know RCC, they spun up. And as like the troopers came as contingency, but the troopers ended up coming before RCC, which missed out on that Black Hawk ride. Dang it.
Bummer.
Yeah, and it was 2.5 hours, which everyone's like, wow, that's a long time. I'm like, no, not really, because it could have not been 2.5 hours, and I could have had to try to walk out of there, which I don't know. I mean, have a tourniquet and bullet hole wound. I'm pretty tough. That's pretty rough. There was a moment about 45 minutes in when the adrenaline started wearing off. We started hearing a thop, 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 thop. And there's a helicopter went right by. Wasn't for us though. No, come back. You know. So my dad, he tried his best to keep my mind off of things. So he asked me, hey, 'cause he loves. I'm a storyteller, and the fun story before this bear attack, which this bear attack wasn't that fun, was on ADAC when I saved my dad on ADAC, and he loves when I tell the story because I love storytelling, right? So he's like, yeah, why don't you tell that time you saved me on ADAC? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And I got about 2 minutes in, I said, nope. I'm flipping from one side to the other, and then I'm like, ooh, I have some pouches in my pocket, like some Tiza pouches or non-nicotine tea pouches, and I remember going in there and in my side pouch, pull it out, and almost like a cartoon, there's a claw mark going right through it, and it's just all of it just dumps out. I'm like, damn. And then I was like, wait a second. Why is there a claw mark going through my tin? Yeah. And I look over and I pull my pant leg up. It's like, no shit. I couldn't lay on my side. I was uncomfortable because there's a freaking gash in my leg, man. And I was like, hey, Dad, I have another wound. And he's like, what? And so he gave me his bandana, and I just kind of like shoved it in there into that gash, just shoved the bandana in the gash. And after that, I laid on my stomach and I just listened to music over and over again. And the same song.
This is waiting for basically your medevac.
Just waiting for the medevac, and I put on this Norwegian song, just very primal. I really like that kind of stuff, and just listen to that, and the bear, because I was on my stomach, was probably, it was this far away from my face. So I spent the next hour and a half, 2 hours staring at this bear with a bullet hole through the side of the face and just blood coming out of it, not just looking at her the whole time. And yeah, it my dad did this thing when I used to run with him when I was a kid, and we did this Special Olympics run thing, or torch run for the Special Olympics in Seward. And there's a 5K, and he did this thing where he's like, oh, it's just around the corner, buddy. Just keep on going. Well, he did that same shit to me, because he was like, oh, no, they're going to be here in a half hour. So you know what I did? I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Put that half hour on my phone and watch that thing tick down, just like you're in class, like tick, tick, tick. Well, he lied.
2 hours later.
2 hours later, Joe, the trooper, he came out of the helicopter, and I had this whole idea. I was going to videotape the helicopter coming in, it'd be so cool, but I was like, I ain't moving. I didn't even pick my head up. I was like, get me the frick out of here, dude. And Joe came over, and my dad and I tried to drag me, or my dad and him tried to drag me out. And then Joe just grabbed me from the shoulders, and that guy just yarded me out of there. It's just a beast of a dude. I'm not a small guy, man. I'm like 200 pounds, right? And he starts dragging me through, and I'm just like, oh, this sucks. And I get dragged through the creek, and I remember it was like, oh, that felt good. I'm out of the creek, and oh, that sucks. And I'm laying there by the helicopter, propellers going, and the pilot. I can see him. He looks down. He's like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. I'm good, man. Like, yeah. And I can hear them talking, Joe and my dad. And they're like, should he wait here for the PJs to come? The parajumpers?
Yeah. You're like,
Because
get me
they're
the
like,
hell out of here now.
that's it. I heard that and I grabbed onto the skid and I started climbing in the helicopter. I'm like, no. He's like, oh, he
We're
wants to
going
go.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, so he pulled me in there. Oh, I pulled myself in there, and maybe a little push in the butt to get me in, and I laid down and I've been in helicopters when I was on the hot shots, like we're in and out of the helicopters constantly. That was the worst helicopter ride, but the best helicopter ride. It was just like the bumps, every bump. I'm like,
Yeah.
but it was so beautiful, man. Just you're flying, like it's just across from Anchorage. You got Hope over there because this trail Resurrection goes from Seward to Hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just the most beautiful area back there. Like
Hmm.
go out there, dude. Go hiking out there.
Wow.
Be bear aware.
I'll be bear aware.
Be bear aware, but go hiking
go
out
out
there.
Will do.
But go out there. Yeah, it was that's I got to the hospital and the doctors, they were told that there's a bear victim and a gunshot wound at the same time, and I'm sure that they imagined some like guy like, oh God, help me. And I got in and I can't remember what joke I said. I said something. They were like, yeah, what the hell's up with this guy? But when they turned
Not
that
what they were expecting.
no,
I
it wasn't.
being on the other side of that call when you get the heads up, you're working in the ER and you're like, hey, we got a bear mauling coming in, or we got a GSW coming in. You start to like, oh, what are the details? Like, let us, and then you start kind of building this scenario in your head of what's going to come through the doors. So it's kind of funny to think that, bear mauling and gunshot. Like, was this bear armed? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And dude, I would, you know what? If a bear was armed with a gun, that's game over, dude. All right. I'll stick inside then. Sure.
We've lost. We're the weaker species.
Yeah.
But also, I will say, when you build up that scenario and you're always thinking the worst. When you're on the other side, you're always prepared for like the worst possible scenario of what's coming through the door. There is some levity when what comes through the door is like, oh, okay, this guy's joking with me. He's conscious. He's alert. He's, applied some basic first aid. Bleeding is controlled. Then like your guard kind of gets, lowered a little bit at least, from what you're expecting. And so I'm sure it was probably a breath of fresh air when you come in joking through the door with the ER staff. But go ahead, you can continue.
Yeah, I get in there and, the gunshot, I felt like someone punched me in the leg really hard. Like gave you that good Charlie horse that just didn't go away. It must have cauterized it all the way through. Just the nerves are just gone. Yeah, I lost feeling in the side of my leg right here. And that tourniquet was the most painful thing. Maybe because it like it numbed the bottom of my leg, but it wasn't numb. It felt like it was on fire and it was about to explode. And it was just like, I remember thinking, I was like, just, it was silly, but I was like, cut my leg off, in my head. But it's like, no, I want to actually keep it.
Yeah.
But they took that thing off and I was like, but I was worried. Maybe, I don't know why this came to my head, but I was like, I remember asking the doctor, I was like, if they take that tourniquet off, is like all the dead blood going to go up to my heart and kill me? And he's like, is that something? He said, no, I don't know if that's something that's taught.
Yeah, there is a time frame associated with it. The military, they teach us it's like after 4 hours. If you have a tourniquet on after 4 hours, there is kind of a strategic way to do it so that you don't you're not releasing all of this, that's not toxic, but there is a wrong way to do it, I'll say. But it sounds like you might have been within that 4 hour, 6 hour time frame. I can't remember if it's 4 or 6, but to where there could be some significant nerve damage, some shock involved, stuff like that. So yeah, a little could be a little sketchy for sure.
I didn't know, so I was like, survive the bear, die from my own blood. Damn it.
Yeah, what a way to go.
Shoot.
Yeah.
No, not like this. Yeah, so I mean, after that I got my calls from my wife. I was actually getting questioned by a trooper and another game warden, because my dad was actually still back. He was still back there, and the RCC picked him up, actually,
Okay, good.
the paratroopers and the Blackhawk, so he got the cool ride.
Cool. I was gonna say, that would be a lonely walk back if they just left him out there.
Yeah. That would suck. Like, yo, you don't need it. All right.
You're good.
Let's go, boys.
You're good though.
You're
You still got
Water?
your ramen?
yeah. Water, bud. Here. There you
Yeah.
go. Enjoy that. Yeah. No, he took a ride back with the helicopter, and yeah, I was getting interviewed by another trooper and stuff, and that's when the white phone came in. And it was my wife, and that was an emotional thing. It was great hearing her. What she had to go through was probably hell, because all she knew, she got a text from my stepmom. It was like, hey, Tyler got mauled by a bear. She's in Texas with my
Yeah.
son.
Not
Like,
even close.
nobody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, yeah, he got mauled by a bear. Ah. That's it.
What do you do
So
with that?
more information for her, please, next time. No. But yeah, that's, other than that, it was just it was recovery. Yeah, I recovered really fast. Like,
You didn't need surgery or anything crazy like that? Like, were you able to be discharged from the ER? Did you have to stay the night in the hospital as an inpatient or anything like that?
no, I think I left from because of good behavior. They let me go.
Nice.
You
That's
know, they're like, this
yeah.
guy's, get him out of here. This joker here, and so I
He's
crutched on
fine.
out. Yeah, and you can't get stitches when you got a bear bite, because they have so much bacteria in their mouth that you got to leave it open, and so it has to heal from the inside out. So that was pretty nasty for a while. But I went to the wound clinic, and they're like, dude, you're healing crazy. They try to put these little silver pouches in there, or patches, and supposedly it's supposed to help with bacteria. But I guess since I got bit by the bear, I turned into a werebear, because now I got like allergic to silver.
What?
Yeah, I'm allergic to silver. Apparently, they're shoving these things in there. I'm like, no, that burns. They're like, what? That's not supposed to. I'm like, yeah, no, get that out. And
Werebear. That's gonna be the
yeah,
title of this episode, Tyler Johnson. Werebear.
werebear. So yeah, and I like, they're like, you're healing like crazy. Like the bullet hole wound was already, the first time I went there, they could shove that Q-tip all the way through, and then the second time it stopped already.
Sweet.
Which is like a day, 2 days later, something like that. So I was healing real fast, and they said something about, I don't know, it's potassium or some medical thing. They're like, yeah, you got this, and this is how they can tell how fast you can heal, and you got a lot of it, so you're healthy. I'm like, sweet. So I'm pretty lucky.
Nice. Dude. So much to unpack there. I mean, the fact that what you experienced was with your dad, it couldn't have been a better scenario. I mean, it sucks for sure, but the way that you were able to respond, that you play the scenario game. I totally know what you're talking about when you go out into the woods and you think about like, oh, this is happened, this is what I'm going to do. And I don't want to say every man thinks that, but like, it is fun to play that game because you want to be prepared in those moments. And so you reacted based off of, in those just few 12 seconds, of what you had already mapped out in your own head, and then dealing with like the curveballs of like, okay, bear's on top of me, unholstering my weapon, shoot myself in the leg. Now, okay, I still have to I shot myself, but now I still got to like get this bear off me, and then defend myself against that. And to your dad's response and having the wherewithal not to just unload directly in front of him with you underneath, like that was so smart. To get in the right position to be able to dispatch this bear, and then the whole triage thing, like having again the wherewithal to like, okay, check myself, um, having the right equipment on hand to be able to deal with that, and then having like the sat phone. Why am I blanking on the name of it right now?
Oh, it's the inReach. Yeah.
Reach. Yeah, having the
Yeah.
inReach handy to be able, because then it's like, okay, what happens if that happens and you guys don't have that? Do you have cell service now? If you didn't have that, now you're forced to be in a position of like, okay, well now we got to figure out how to get back, and like that delays the time frame. Who knows? Maybe it goes beyond that 4 to 6 hours, and now you do have to lose your leg for having a tourniquet on for so long. It could have been so much different. Um, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did for your sake. Again, even though it sucked, that it did turn out well. It's interesting. One of the things that came to my mind while you're talking about, and this happens a lot, is in the medical world, they call them distracting injuries. So someone comes in and you see something and it's like really gnarly and like gross. You're like, oh, we got to deal with that. And it sounds like
Mhm.
that's what happened between your gunshot wound and like where the bear had like jacked up your leg. Meanwhile, you have like this giant gash on your hip that you didn't even know about. That's like,
Yeah.
that stuff, because of all the adrenaline and everything going on. It's really hard to assess all of that accurately. And so good job for being able to like kind of check all those boxes, and kind of stop the immediate life threats so that you had the best opportunity to get out of there. And thankfully, no major arteries were hit. You had the right equipment.
Somehow.
Um, and you had someone else out there. Like you had,
Yeah.
you weren't by yourself. Um, man, crazy, crazy experience for sure. After you got out of the hospital, you like you'd said, you just moved to Austin. Did you hang out in Alaska for a little bit, or did you like for the wound care and all that, or did you take care of that in Austin?
So I stayed in Alaska for 2 weeks after that. My in-laws, they live right next to Thunderbird Falls. And this is actually, it was August 17th, so the state fair was going on at this time too. My sister, she has a she has a store there at the state fair.
Okay.
The hot delicious pickles. Shout out to my
Sweet.
sister.
Delicious
Uh,
pickles.
yeah, the hottest pickles in the coldest state. She sells a lot of pickles there. Delicious. And I was there for about 2 weeks, and I was getting interviewed by meat eaters and the Inside Edition, Alaska News Source did a bit with me. That was great. Those guys are amazing. And I just had all these experience. It was so crazy. Just everyone just reaching out like, "What happened?"
Yeah.
That's the story went all the way to the UK and Australia. It was just like,
Mm.
"What's going on?" And they saw my video and it went viral all over. Joe Rogan retweeted the video.
Yeah.
The guy that
Crazy.
the guy that does Red Zone, NFL in Red Zone, he's like commented on it like, "This guy's his you have to." I can't remember what he said. It was something awesome. I was like, "Sweet, I watch you." you know,
Thank you. Yeah.
um, with all the good comments, there was the other side,
Totally.
the
Yeah. There's got to
the other
be.
man.
People are the worst.
People don't know, man. That's all it
Yeah.
is. Like, I can't get mad at them. I'm not mad at them. They can be mad at me all they want. They don't know. And that's what you got to realize is like people are all in their own world. They're doing their own thing and they have their own point of view. And sometimes they just have a lack of, uh, knowledge on certain situations, and they make up their own story, and that's fine. That is fine. I know in my heart what happened and how much love I have for just being out in the wild and respect. And dude, I bring a gun. I brought a gun out with me, and it is for that situation, right? Um, though I never thought it would happen, but it's just there. Some people just bring a gun to feel safe. Typically just yelling, making noise is all you need. But like I said, sometimes that just doesn't happen. And I didn't want to shoot her. I wasn't, like I said, even if there was a wolf there and we were hunting, I didn't want to shoot it because I wasn't hunting for that. I wasn't going to eat it. I wasn't going to be used to that. There's no use of killing her, right? What happened to me, I didn't want to do that. I didn't fight. I shot myself first. Damn it. Like chill out.
You can always hold that over that argument. Hey, look, I shot myself first, okay?
I gave her a chance. All
So
right.
are you saying that people were like upset that you killed this bear in self-defense?
Oh, dude. I got some threats, brother.
What?
Yo, dude. There was a point where I was like, I hope like my address, like these people were saying some crazy stuff. If you go to my video on YouTube, that there's one that has a couple million views. There's TikTok blew up to like Twitter did 7 million views, so many comments, whatever. That was months ago. I haven't checked, but the stuff, man, they would say, the stuff people say hiding behind glasses, it's bonkers. Honestly, it just got kind of comical after a while. I'm like, yeah, that's creative. That is really creative. Man, who kicked you in the nuts this morning, buddy? Like,
Right.
bro, chill,
Yeah.
But there's also the other side, right? There's also the other side that people are willing to learn, got curious about it. Like, what did you do? How did you do that? What happened? Why did she react? What did you have? That's what I love. This is a teaching moment. This is an experience that can't be wasted.
Right.
Not everyone gets to go through this. Not everyone gets to live through
Totally.
this.
Yep.
So, it was all around a life-changing experience that I'm grateful to have, but I am also there's that I didn't want to kill her, right? So, she had cubs. I don't think I mentioned that. There's a reason why she attacked. We surprised her. She disengaged from my father. You got to keep in mind. She left. She was like, nope. Okay. So she saw my dad, human. No, I don't want to mess. Oh, there's another one. You guys are trapping me and my cubs.
Yeah.
So I ended up killing a sow and 3 cubs. I didn't shoot them, but they were young, right? And we were told this later, because they had to get the collar, and they were tracking her. Yeah, she was 18 years old.
Dang.
She
Seems
was
like an old girl.
yeah. I mean, that's a relatively old grizzly bear. Come to find out, I've been doing a lot of research on bears recently, yeah, beautiful bear. I mean, I remember looking. I was like, God, you're so beautiful. She was. Didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So that's something that I think about, and yeah,
Yeah.
something I think about.
It's hard to take all of your experience and try to quantify that to the smartass comment on Twitter. It's like, is it even worth your time? And maybe that's a point that you reached, that there's some people, the people aren't going to understand unless they're in that same position, and it's hard to be able to say what any given person's response is going to be. And even like, we were talking about earlier, is you think what your response is going to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And even then, there's only so much that can prepare you for when it actually happens. Because sometimes it's hard to fight physiology, what you're going to do reactively in the moment. And especially with you know, with what that bear was doing, it's like, it does kind of seem that way. Having two threats in vicinity of her cubs, like it's kind of game on for her. It wasn't just like a stunt. It wasn't like this was a close encounter that, you know, she was obviously escalating um, to the point of to the point of attacking you. And so, yeah, man, it's got to be in the national, worldwide spotlight for something like that. I know it's got to be like a good thing and maybe even an equally like heavy thing to kind of carry, because you can't justify every or you can't appease every person that's coming at you. I'm sure there's a million different angles people are coming at you of like, oh, did you work on your unholstering technique enough
Dude.
before you went out in the woods? Did you, why didn't you have this specific kind of tourniquet? Or, you
Yeah.
know, were you wearing bells when you were out there? Like, I'm sure there's like every weird niche, like,
Mm-hmm.
piece of advice out there was thrown at you. And so, but nobody knows except the person that was out there doing it. And that's got to
Mm-hmm.
be the hardest part, because you can't, it's not even worth your time, when it's that magnified.
you, you gotta like be able to separate like these people that I got a witness here. These people around here, they're probably some of these my neighbors might have been in the comments, right? Like they don't know the life that we live in Alaska. It is so much different. It's amazing. I want to share it with you. You don't want to listen, that's fine. But you know what? I will share something with people that are willing to listen, that do want to learn from this. Those are the ones that I'm paying attention to because they want to learn something. I want to learn something. I was like, we could do something with this experience, right? And I just focus on that. I focus on those that are wanting to learn, wanting to hear, that actually have gratitude towards this type of experience, and that's that's the stuff I love. And yeah, the attention there's it was a yeah, it was a whatever it was, right? It is fairly awesome, honestly. To get that attention and that little validation that like, you know what, buddy, you did do good out there. I gotta let myself know, like, yeah, that was a fucked up situation. But we did good. My father and I did fantastic in that situation. We were presented a situation where we had to react. We had to. There was no other choice. It was either me or the bear. I have a cub at home. I have a wife at home. I am going to fight for my life, for my family. My father has a son right next to him. He's going to fight for his cub. I'm a grizzly now, but whatever, right? It's the same. It's the same thing with her too. She did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She did the same thing. I don't know how. I mean, you can call it luck or whatever. I could have died from the bullet. I could have died from bleeding out. I could have died from. Is she actually? If oh, by the way, yeah, she fell off of me. With the 7th round, I broke her spine. She fell off, like right there, right here. I don't know. Have you hunted for bears or anything before?
No, no, not a bear hunter, small game, but no.
Well, small game still. I mean, if you shoot it with 22 or whatever, like these animals, they have what we have. It's adrenaline, right? But bears, brother, these bears, their adrenaline is a different level. My first, actually, my second black bear I got, I had a 30-06. I shot that black bear across some ski lac up in Cottonwood, beautiful area, from like 50 yards away. I thought I missed because that black bear went, God, it just busted off for a quarter mile, just ran. And I remember I was in shape. I just started running after that bear with my 30-06. Just that bear hunkered down a quarter mile away, like running up and down hills. I was far behind. I mean, he's like, well, took me like 2 minutes to get there or whatever the time was. He or she hunkered down. I can't remember. And I had I had my rifle on me, and that bear was laying down and looked at me and was like, "Rah!" And I shot it in the face. I was like, no. But come to find out, that first shot did not miss. That black bear I shot with 30-06 had its lungs hanging out its side of its body, and it bolted like nothing happened and ran for a quarter mile. Now imagine a 500-pound mother bear on top of you, with a 10 millimeter, which I don't. The bear safety thing with guns, use what you're good at. Period.
Yeah.
Period. 45, 10 millimeter. I mean, that's kind of what I'll get period right there. And or 40. And I could have put 50 rounds into that bear. If I didn't hit her in the spine or in the brain, I would have been ripped apart.
Yeah.
Ripped apart. They're beasts of animals.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even though I haven't hunted bears, I have heard this exact story of people going bear hunting, laying down a good shot on a bear, and then having to track it forever. And they're like, "What the heck? Like, was it not a good shot?" And they end up tracking it, and they freaking find it like, a mile away in a swamp somewhere or farther. And no, it was a great shot, but yeah, their adrenaline freaking carries them. I didn't even think about that. Literally on top of you unloading. She could have torn you to shreds even in that moment,
She did, but she could have done a lot more.
Yeah, it could have been
a lot more
worse.
than that. A lot worse than that, yeah. Man, I've heard stories of people putting 44, like all the 44 into her, and their buddy blasting with a 12 gauge, and just after rounding out, just drops her in front of him. Like, that's a lot of rounds, a lot of big rounds too.
Yeah.
10 millimeters have that penetration, right? So, and a lot of rounds, so they can go snout to ass, right? They got that velocity behind it. That's why I choose it. It doesn't have a lot of recoil. I suck at pistols, dude.
It's not really an issue when it's like right there on top of you.
I am horrible with a pistol, and I love to practice more. And it's funny now, people are like, "Oh, dude, yeah, you killed a bear. Why don't you come shooting with us? Like, just teach me how to shoot." It's like, dude, I literally shot myself. You know that? Did that ever come to mind? I make joke about that all the time. Obviously it was an accident and the bear is on top of me, but it's like, I'm like, I shot myself. You know that, right? Like, I'm not a good shot. Literally, I had my target 2 feet in front of me, and I shot myself. It's kind of silly, right?
Dude, it's so freaking wild.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go back to like, quote, normal life after that? So like you have all this whirlwind of people wanting to talk to you. You got people tweeting about you. You got these, tons of views, millions of views on social media, the TikTok, the stuff that you're putting out. Like, how do you settle back into life? What was that transition like of kind of coming from that? And then, because you're like kind of not starting over, but you're definitely starting something new being in Austin. Was that a hard transition for you?
No, my wife humbled me pretty good. No, I'm just joking. No, it was a lot of views and stuff, but honestly, I try to put my views on TikTok and they took it down. They're like, "That's animal abuse." I'm like, "That bitch was attacking me." But anyways, so it was actually all these other people that were posted. Like, I find out from someone texting me like, "Hey, this guy posted a video and it has 5 million views." I'm like, "Good for you guys. That's cool."
Yeah.
And
Wow.
actually, I was at the state fair, and I sat down and I pulled out my phone and I had a text from one of my coworkers. He said, "Hey, dude, you are going viral." I was like, "What?" And I look at it, and it's that Twitter one. It's like up to 6 million views and Joe Rogan and stuff. And there's this older lady just sitting next to me, and I'm in my crutches, bandages, casing, all this stuff. And I look at her, I was like, "Have you ever had 6 million or 6.3 million people see your face in a day?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, I just had 6.3 million people see my face after I got mauled by a bear. And she looked at me, she's like, oh my dear God. Shocking.
Ugh.
So, yeah, I mean, I I go to places around here and it's like people are like, "Oh, dude, you gotta tell me the story," and I started telling the story so much, and in a very short amount of time, like I go to a party and it was just all about the bear, and I
Mm,
love sharing the experience, but at a point I was just like, it's taking it away from me a little bit, so
yeah.
I kind of took a little break away from being the bear guy. And I just like we were talking before this, I just recently started like having a purpose behind this, of finding some motivation and knowing that this is something that it's not about the views, it's not about that, it's about awareness and my purpose in life, my alignment. And this experience has jolt me right into my alignment. Just phew, I know what I'm going to do now.
Mm,
I know what it is. I'm an outdoors guy and I love it. I love being outdoors. And I want to share that with everybody. And I'm not afraid to go out there. I want to be out there, but I want people to be safe when they're out there. I went to Alaska this last year. I was out in the woods by myself again, and I loved it. I put a video out there that I was like, "Oh, there's bears around me," right? I was hiking Slaughter Ridge, which is also another awesome mountain.
yeah, Slaughter Ridge is. I haven't done it either, but I've heard pretty awesome stories about it.
It's a good one. The playground of the Alaska. It's the Kenai. I can just go on about it, and I forgot I had gummy bears in my backpack, and I was like, I'm hungry, but I was in the woods, and I was like, it'd be funny if because everyone knows me of being attacked by a
Bear
bear and I'm
guy.
out by myself,
Dude.
and I put
Yep.
gummy bears on a branch, and I was like, oh, there's some bears around here. They're right there. I was like, oh look, there's some gummy bears, and they're like, ah, shit,
Oh,
this
yeah,
guy's
that
weird.
video got me. That video got me, and once you sent me your TikTok profile, I went and looked it up. I was like, "Oh, shoot." I was like, "Is this the one?" And then, no, got me.
Nah, they're
Silly
delicious. I
bears.
ate them anyways. They got dirt on them, but I was like, they're still good.
Dude,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. So, you had this crazy experience, and then you connected it with to this greater purpose, this greater sense of meaning in this device that you're coming up with. I want you to talk about when that idea kinda dropped in your head and the momentum and all the different things that kind of fell in behind it.
It actually came to me in January of this last year. So damn near a year ago. I just got off of an interview with Creature Preacher. He's a guy that's on TikTok. Super cool guy. He's like a zoologist. He's very educational. He talks about animals and stuff. And I was his first podcast interview, and I don't know what it was because we were talking about how to keep people safe, because that was always at the front of my mind, because I want to go out there, but I want to keep people safe also. Like, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't want to have a reactive thing like a gun or bear spray or a air horn. Like, that's something that you use, and that's a tool you use after something has escalated to a point of aggression potentially, and can lead to something bad. And I remember just sitting there after that interview, and my dogs, I love them, but they're loud and they bark a lot, just so much. And I'm used to, just letting my dogs run everywhere in Alaska, right? Here in Austin, it's not so much. And so this idea is just like, you got to just make them aware of you, or like, you got to make nature aware of your presence out in the wild. My father and I, like I said, even the most experienced people get lost in the great meditation of hiking and the beauty of nature. And guess what? Nature doesn't know you're there, right? You are in your own world, enjoying nature, and it's just like your presence only reached about 20 feet. Seriously. You're walking in the woods, your presence only reaches 20 feet away from you. Nothing else around 20 feet, unless you walk into their bubble. Smells you're there. And so I started thinking, and also one of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm not sorry to say this, are people that walk in the woods with speakers listening to Taylor Swift or Tupac. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
go away. I'm out here trying to enjoy, right? And I'm trying to get away from that kind of stuff. I like listening Tupac, whatever. Taylor Swift every so often. And that's for the car ride. And I just there's something I was right there. I'm like, what is this? And it just dawned on me. I'm like, well, these animals have the sense of hearing that is just incredible, and smell, right?
Hmm.
So I just started tinker around with how well can bears hear. It's a very interesting thought. Humans can only hear so far. Then you get into this different range of frequencies that you're not aware of. Trust me, that's going around you. That the ultrasonic frequencies are all around you. You can't hear it. Your dogs can, everyone else can. So I started digging. I started really digging. Into, well, before that, I got curious about why bears were attacking humans. Why is this happening? How does this happen?
Hmm.
It's because you surprise them. You gotta let your presence know. Your presence need to be known. And that's what happened to me. So I started listening to all these guys getting mauled, and they're like, "Oh, I had my gun on me, I had my bear spray on me, but I just surprised them, and boom, here I am with half a face hanging off." And so I really started digging into it, and there was no research on. There was some research on the capacity of bears' ability to hear, how far ranges they have. So I ended up telling my father my idea that I wanted to use uh, ranges of frequencies that are high enough to where we can't hear it and the animals can. Just to make them aware of your presence. Aware of your presence is the key. Because if they're aware of your presence, they don't want to be around you. My years of experience of hiking in Alaska, training in bear safety with my father and everything. And I was on the trail crew for Fish and Wildlife, and you go through bear safety training, and they have these videos of people hiking in game cans. You see a group of kids and family going on this trail, and you know what's behind them? A bear. And then behind that bear, there's a group of people. And then there's a bear. These bears are doing the same thing that we're doing. They're using the trails, but they at least have some presence to know that there's some groups of people. So if they know you're there, they're not going to be around you. They
Yeah.
don't want to see you. They're doing their own thing. So I made this device that projects ultrasonic frequencies every so often at a certain pace, certain rhythm that is attention grabbing to animals that I have tested and verified that they can hear this very well, and they react in not an aggressive manner. And it's just an attention grab, right? What people need to understand is that you are the repellent. You repel these animals. However, when you surprise these animals, you have now triggered their reaction. You have triggered a fight, flight, or they don't freeze really, but they fight.
Hmm.
So, how to stop that is to make them aware of your presence. So this sound, it's essentially, to give an example, we're having our conversation right now. Now, we don't really have awareness all around us completely, but let's say your family comes in and shuts the door. Now you know your family's there. Now, oh, what's that? Your family's there. You picked up you start looking around like, okay, I know you're there. Your presence is known. Well, they could have shut that door quietly on accident. Then, they walk in the room and surprise you. But that's what it's doing. This is all this is doing, is making a sound far enough. That's the key. Far enough away to give them adequate time to leave the area. Now, this is a tool. This is a tool to to make your presence a larger area. Like I said, your presence right now is 20 feet. Yes, you can yell. You can do all that stuff, and that's trust me, it works. I went hiking forever, and I tell people I haven't ran into a bear in the last 10 years, and I would go hiking all the time. Just look at my Instagram, dude. I'm just all over the place. Never run into bears except for that time. When I except for that one time.
Yeah.
Damn it.
There's a big
Um, there's the big time. And because we were quiet. Because we were quiet. We checked all the boxes. We were quiet. We surprised her, and that's pretty much that's two boxes that you don't want to check. And she's a sow. So it's making your presence known at a larger area. You know, it's not always going to be needed, but it's something that you you how does the saying go? I said it earlier. You should have it, not need it, rather
Yeah.
than need it, not have it.
Need it,
Right.
not have it. Yeah.
So this is a project of mine that I am so aligned to, because if all my friends know I want to bring you out, I'm all about safety, and I want people to have a great time out in the woods, because it is such a beautiful place to be. But be safe about it, and with respect of the wild, to let them know that you're there out of respect, because you don't want to surprise them. Because you know what? When situations like mine happen, someone's going to lose. So this is not only something that will potentially save human lives, it will save animal lives. Because guess what? It's not just bears. It goes even further. For me, my personal story is bears, because I'm from Alaska. And bears are something that I am very aware of. Other places, you got cougars, wolves in Alaska. You got wolves, coyotes, We'll give some testing on boars and see how this all works out. But for a fact, what I'm testing right now, and I've verified, is that it works with bears. Like I said, you are the deterrent. You are. This is just making your presence known at a larger area. And right now, I'm getting the word out on it. It's something that I'm looking for partners on this, some investments to help push this forward, because it's something that I want to get out there yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And it's not only to the people who are just hiking, just me and you doing our fun thing outside. This is for game wardens. This is for state parks. There's people bring big groups of people on hikes, and sometimes they're quiet, and that's something that we all can use, is always making that extra noise, because it's mechanical. It's not going to stop. It's something that's always going to be going, always going to project your presence outward. So you can get into that meditative state. You can enjoy the wild, yet you can let your presence be known. You can let nature know that you're there. And so that's something that I am extremely passionate about. And this to me, this is a start of something that could just change. Because guns, they work. Bear spray, they work sometimes. Maybe not in my situation. I would have been bear sprayed and mauled. Yeah, didn't have. And you got the bear bells. That's a thing. But you know what? Honestly, let's not lie about it. They are annoying as hell. They let your presence know, but you also have to be moving for it to
Hmm.
work, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And all those, you got the bear bangs, they're all very handy. I'm not saying don't bring those. This isn't like I have this and now I'm safe. This is just another tool. But those are all reacting. Those are all tools of reaction, not prevention. This is a tool of prevention, from preventing that scenario from happening in the first place. And, with that prevention, you can enjoy it, man. And it's It's going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot, and I know it's going to save people from going through and animals going through experiences that I had just shared with you guys.
Yeah.
Right? It's I said it the other day, as I was emailing some people to get this word out there. The catch I used on the subject line was, I got shot and mauled by a bear. 9 out of 10, I don't recommend, and here's why. Because, that one thing, that 1 out of 10, if I didn't, I don't think I would have been aligned with my purpose as I am today. And that's big for me.
Dude, that's so cool. It's one thing to come up with like a cool idea or a device, an app, a whatever your creative mode is. It's another to do something like that based out of some deep life-changing experience. And the way that this all panned out with you last year is the perfect fuel for bringing some kind of meaningful change to the world through that experience so that nobody has to experience that again, or you can reduce the amount of people that experience, bear attacks in the future. And to leave that kind of mark on the world is pretty special to have that opportunity. It sounds like you're already testing out this device. Where are you at in the development of it or the marketing of it? And yeah, I guess like what is the next biggest chapter for you in getting this out to the public?
So I've had some super just great people hear my story and hear what I'm trying to do, and they just helped me. They made me a little prototype. It's just something I can test with the frequencies to see what suited it best. And so I drove up to Alaska this last year with my grandpa. Went through Banff and Jasper. Do it. Mountains. It's so awesome. But there's bears on the way, and I might have tested out some frequencies on this, and yeah, it works. And so I figured out that that was my first step, is seeing if it worked. And test out the frequency, what worked best, because my little I went to a patent attorney for this idea, and this really stuck with me. He was like, "This is $1 million idea, son. This is great. You know what? Even if it doesn't work, people will buy it to feel safe." I was like, "I'm out of here, dude." Like,
Snake oil salesman run.
Did you just say that to me?
Yeah.
Dumbass. I was like, I'm out of here. So yeah, I don't work with him. So right now, in this moment of time, I'm pitching this idea it's called the Capital Factory here in Austin. Come to find out, I moved to. It's like, wow, this is all destiny. But Austin is one of like big hubs for entrepreneurship. And boy, is there a learning curve for a woodsman like me trying to be an entrepreneur. But I'm doing pretty damn good at it, I think.
Wow.
And so I have my pitch deck. I'm going out in front of people. I'm looking for investors and partnerships to get this out there, because as of right now, I have a quote coming in with a prototyping engineering crew that I'm super aligned with, and they love my mission. They love what I'm trying to do, and they can make it for me. So they sent me a quote on how to make that prototype, and the one that I want to then make multiple copies of. And those multiple copies that I'm going to be making, I'm going to be sending out to different agencies, different people who want to test it out, just wear it, give me feedback on how it feels on their chest, battery life, because I'm not about to, I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a guy's guy. Okay. I'm going to make something that frickin' stays with you, and it's not going to break like that. I go out into the woods and like bring a tool that just falls apart. Like, no, I'm going to make something that will stay with you, that you can put in a box during the wintertime and grab it and feel safe the next year, that you can hand to your son. You can hand to your friends, like, hey, you got your guns, but just take this. Like, why not? I got friends that, like girls that go out there and they're like, I don't want to go hiking. Oh, by the way, always do hike with a partner.
Totally. Yeah.
Like you can go by yourself, be prepared, right? Like, and this it's called sound barrier, like it's like bare ear. Anyways, clever, play on words, but no chat GT cheat, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. That was all me.
Yeah. Thought that one up at all. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where I'm at. Is I'm going to give that and give it to people, get the feedback. There's a guy in Tahoe that's around bears all the time. He's going to give me great feedback on this. And after I get that, I have the credible people giving me feedback. And from there, potentially, I would hope to get grants or shit. I've been told to get on Shark Tank once or twice. And I think that would be the time to get on there if needed, if there wasn't someone out there listening that wanted to really get this out there with me, like really is like feel aligned with me. And that's the thing. I'm looking for alignment in this. People that feel the same as I do. That's powerful to me. Being able to work with someone that has the same belief, the same passion, the same alignment, the same purpose, like the real thing, that's you're out there somewhere. And so that's my game plan right now, is to make that next step and get this to the right hands. And then from there, whatever comes next after that is the problem for tomorrow. And I'm a problem solver. And that's something I'll figure out. And dude, life is good, man.
That's an exciting opportunity, and it does feel like, besides the snake oil salesman of that one guy saying that even if it doesn't work, it'll make people feel safe. That is totally unaligned to your goals, and I'm glad you did that, dude. But
Not aligned.
thinking about the potential for that is really exciting. I can see something like that hanging on the shelf of REI or Sportsman's, because man, there are plenty of people that don't feel comfortable carrying a gun out there, even though they know that's probably if shit hit the fan, like that would be the best option to save your own life. There's a lot of people that wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And there's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable going out, with even freaking bear spray. I mean, I've seen people mace themselves with bear spray countless times, and don't like doing that. And then feel like kind of the trepidation of like, is this even going to work? Am I just going to piss something off?
Yeah.
And like you were saying, it's both of those options, and even some of the other smaller, the whole wearing bells, or making sure to like not miss a beat with making your presence known. Like you said, you kind of get caught up being out in the outdoors, and part of the beauty of it is just being in the outdoors and enjoying it. And you do kind of get caught up in those meditative moments where you're just trying to like detach from the reality that we're used to and connect with the outdoors. And so it's hard to maintain that 24/7 when you're out there. And so to have something do the work for you and let you experience, nature as it is, I mean, there is definitely something there. And then for the user, I mean, it does the work for you. It's not something, it sounds like it's something that just kind of, is it like intermittent pulses of these frequencies? Is it something that like the human ear picks up on? Like, is it going to drive you nuts? Or is it something that just kind of functions on its own as you're in the outdoors?
So the purpose of it is something that you will not pick up on.
Okay.
That is a big deal to me, is that I want to make sounds that they can hear and I can't, without taking away from the user's experience, but yet keeping everyone else safe around them. So it's not like, how do I describe it? You hear that the sine wave where it's like, like, no, it's not that. That's, and that animals can get testing, animals get habituated to these things, right? Um, so what we're making up is um, nonlinear. That's something that it's like, camouflage. Camouflage is nonlinear, right? It's there's no pattern to it, but it's alerting, it's
Hmm.
catching, it's attention grabbing for the ones that can hear it, right? And it's that's just you're not going to hear it, and it's just going to be something that you have on you, and it's gonna make a difference. It will. There's not. It's a question of when. You know. Yeah, just gotta keep on walking forward. That's how you get. That's how you hike. One step at a time. And I'm
Yeah,
quite the hiker. That's just what I'm gonna do. And you put yourself out there, and the right people will come.
totally.
I'm waiting for them.
Totally. And I think that's definitely within the realm of possibility for you, man. Given your experience, given your history, being out in the woods, having the expertise of your dad with you out in the woods from
Yes.
day one. Um, yeah, all the pieces do seem to be there to make this a pretty cool product, and definitely practical for a lot of different people. I mean, just the outdoors people. I like that you mentioned, people are working out in state parks and rangers, and like, you know, I could see that being an option of having that on every truck, on every ranger that's out kicking around in the woods. A lot of peace of mind there for sure.
I do want to add though, like I said earlier, but I want to reiterate this is not something that like you just wear this. And I'm not saying don't bring your other
Hmm.
like your
Deterrent.
other safeties. Like, they weren't wearing a helmet in hockey until, someone cracked their head 100 times. Like, you don't have to wear your helmet, but it's
Yeah,
probably a good thing to wear. This is
totally.
just a helmet on top of all your other gear that you should have, right? Um, so yeah, it's just that extra tool to just probably save your life.
Totally, man. So how do people keep up with like the development and what comes next? Like if, someone was listening and interested in contacting you about this as either someone that was interested in investing or being a potential, a user for like, the trial for these prototypes that you're working on, or if someone's just like, this is freaking awesome and I want to see what happens with it, how do they get in touch with you? How do they follow along?
Yeah, so I have a LinkedIn account, Instagram, I have a Facebook, I have I have an email. I'm currently I'm going to be making a landing page. My wife is a wizard at that, and that is on my to-do thing. And as soon as that is on there, that's going to be like on my Instagram. Like you go here.
I'll have you after this just send me all of the things that you want me to throw in the episode description so people can find it just wherever they listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, YouTube, so that they, can be able to link up with that pretty easily. Um, so are you like I did see on your TikTok you did have like a pitch, it looked like, or some type of, I don't know if it was like a Kickstarter thing, like some type of speaking engagement that you're doing. What was that for?
That was for sound barrier. That was I public speaking, man. It's something that's it's a learned skill, and like I said, I'm in a place that is the explosive for entrepreneurs, and that was a capital factory, and they were
Okay.
and it's actually going to go on the 8th this month, and I showed up there just to learn, watch other people pitch, and they're like, you can do this QR code and you can go up there and pitch. And I was like, all right, screw it. Like you only live once.
Yeah. Send
And
it.
everyone's like, wait, you're going up there to pitch? Like, these are all random people you don't know. I was like, I'm not going to see you again unless you want to invest, right? and so I just went up there. I've winged it. I just went with it. They're like, you only got 2 minutes up there. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went up there and I was like, I got mauled by a bear. 8 minutes later, I was still talking. So they must have liked it. But that's it. Like I said, I'm practicing on it. And, it's this experience talking to you on the podcast is definitely helping uh, build my how do I express this, the words I can use to connect to others and really get this going.
Dude, you're doing a great job. I'll say public speaking is not my forte either, and yet I enjoy doing exactly this of just talking to other people and hearing their stories. And it's not an easy task to just pick up conversation with someone that you've never met before, let alone just honestly, sometimes people that are acquaintances that you run into at Fred Meyer and you're just like, ugh, like trying to talk like a normal human being, like that sucks sometimes. But
Damn, you need milk too? Stop following me.
I think you're doing a good job. I'm so thankful that you were open to sharing your story on this podcast, just because it is all Alaska, Alaska based, and I think that your story is going to resonate with a lot of Alaskans, and we're going to be like ears up, paying attention to what happens next, and would be interested. There might be people listening that would be interested in supporting that idea, and I hope there are. And man, it's been such a cool experience being able to talk to you, and I think you are a natural storyteller, like you said earlier, and the story is what makes the device that much more meaningful. I heard one time someone explain this with bourbon, that bourbon is just alcohol, but it's tied to a story, and that's how people connect with that type of bourbon. And it's kind of true. You watch the commercials, you listen to it's got some old cowboy, with his cowboy boots kicked up, on a stump near a fire. And it's Bullet Bourbon or whatever it is. I don't know. I just threw that out there. This episode is not sponsored by Bullet Bourbon.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, Bullet, if you're listening. No. But the story has so much weight, and it immediately makes your device credible, especially if it's proven out in the wild, especially if it's performing in, because it's preventing this crazy experience. It could be preventing this crazy experience that you went through, and it makes it that much more meaningful. So dude, I'm super pumped for you, and what's to come. And I hope you get on 1 million pods after this, sharing the story. And I hope that you can still find some meaning. And now that you've connected it with some greater purpose, I hope the story resonates in that direction. Cause I can kind of get it. You're retelling the story of this thing that's happened to you, and over and over and over again. And it kind of there's no end point besides just and I survived. And I lived happily ever after. Now it's I've created this thing that could potentially save other people's lives and prevent exactly what happened to me. And in that, yeah, dude, wind in my sails for sure if I were you, to keep telling that story and to find new meaning and new just life behind it. And so for that, super happy for you and the development of sound barrier. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to following, I think I did follow you on Instagram and TikTok and seeing what happens next, but you'll definitely have to keep me posted on what's going on. And shoot, man, maybe next time I talk to you, it'll be where you can buy the sound barrier. That would be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully I don't have any more experiences to give back to you, the bear. Unless you want to talk about ADAC, that's another one. But hey, well, that's for another time, maybe.
No bears involved in ADAC?
Dude. No bears on ADAC, just aliens. But other than that.
Hold up.
Wait a second. What did you just say, bud?
This guy just said aliens 2 hours into the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to support the show by following and sharing it on social media, subscribing on YouTube, and leaving a review wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever. It really helps more Alaskans and people everywhere join in on these conversations. Now, more than ever, I believe sharing the voices of our fellow Alaskans matters, and I will continue to do this work for as long as there are people willing to sit down and share meaningful conversations. Keep North Alaska, and thank you for joining me on The State I'm In.